Welcome to the Best in the Game podcast. I'm your host, Mike Jones, aka Jersey Mike, and today we are reviewing 2 episodes of The Breakfast Club. The Breakfast Club is a long-standing radio show, early mornings, hosted by Charlamagne the God, DJ MB. Recently, it was Angela Yee who recently departed. She now hosts her own morning show. She has since been recently replaced by Jessica Hilarious. The Breakfast Club has been a staple in hip-hop culture. They've hosted pretty much everyone, a lot of people in music, a lot of people in hip-hop music, a lot of actors, some politicians, and pretty much anybody who has a connection or pulse with the culture. On this episode of Best in the Game, we're going to be reviewing 2 episodes. They recently shot 2 episodes, aired 2 episodes featuring comedians Aries Spears and Lil Rel. I think most people are asking why. Why are we reviewing 2 episodes, and particularly regarding around these 2 comedians? Well, let me tell you, we're reviewing this episode regarding these guys because both of them storied comedians, both of them very hilarious guys, have been on television, been in some movies. They both have amazing stories to tell. However, their stories kind of contrast a little bit, and we'll get into that here in a little bit. But for anyone who's been sleeping under a rock, comedians are very hot right now. Covering comedians are very hot right now. Comedians are all over our internet, our social media, our televisions. And we have Cat Williams to thank for that. We could thank Cat Williams for that. He pretty much jumped off this year, lit it on fire with his appearance on Club Shay Shay. Shout out to Club Shay Shay. Shout out to Shannon Sharp, who recently won several awards and Webbies, I believe. One of the hottest podcasts in the game at the moment. Shout out to him. But also, hey, he had Cat Williams on there, and he set it on fire. And he's had several other comedians come on since then, as well as many of these other platforms as well, too. So what I'd like to do, I'd like to get started with the episode featuring Aries Spears. Aries Spears, a comedian, most notably for his time on television with the sketch comedy show Mad TV. Aries Spears is, he's a funny guy. He's a funny guy. And on his appearance, most recently on The Breakfast Club, he sat down with Charlamagne, NB, and Jessica Hilarious to discuss what he's kind of currently up to, things that are going on. And my first impression from his appearance is he's a bit bitter. He's a little bit bitter. Aries, he says that he started doing comedy at the age of 14. He's now 49. You do the math on that. I don't got time to do that. But he's been doing comedy for some time. And at one point in the interview, he had kind of alluded to the fact and the idea of where his placement is in or should be sort of in the comedy sphere, in the comedy world. He thinks and feels he should be as big as Kevin Hart. These are his words, not mine. And it just came off, it wasn't, there were some funny moments in there, but to be honest with you guys, it didn't have a lot of comedy. There wasn't a lot of comedy in it. It was like he came on to sort of justify, I don't know, his actions or sort of the way in which he moves, justifies the downtrodden relationships he has at Hollywood. And he was kind of sort of coming up with the reasons as to why he may not be as big as some other comics, including Kevin Hart, Cat Williams, Dave Chapelle, so on and so forth. I particularly decided to bring this up and talk about this point. The Breakfast Club is a great show. I watch it very frequently, at least twice a week. It helps me get through my mornings, so on and so forth. And it also helps me to produce content. Thank you very much. Charlamagne, Black Effect Network, reach out to me. Let me know what's going on. Hit me up. Let's go. But back to Aries Spears. So there was one part that particularly stood out to me. There was a part in which he was discussing his time while working with fellow actors, Jordan Peele and Keegan-Michael Key. He talked about how upon meeting them, his impression was that they were not black, or that they were not of the type of black that he's used to, the type of black that he grew up around. He discussed who it is that they are married to, which I believe, if I recall from the interview, I got to double back on that, but I believe he said that, both of them are married to white women, and he just sort of like, he was downplaying their role in the culture. He was saying, like, basically kind of saying that they weren't black enough, and that he didn't get that from them. They didn't grow up sort of in the same background, same neighborhoods as him. So this episode is not about bashing people, but I'm trying to figure out where or when Aries Spears became the go-to for defining what is black and what's not black. I wanted to point something out that I thought was very interesting. He is a huge avid fan of Jay-Z. He quotes Jay-Z all the time. I believe he has a Jay-Z impression that he does. He does it briefly while on the show, while on the Breakfast Club, and he likes Jay-Z. Okay, cool. And that's cool. A lot of people, a lot of comics that grew up or came up at his time like Jay-Z. The question that came to my mind is about him questioning Jordan Peele and Keegan-Michael Key's blackness because of how they grew up. And because he's such an avid fan of Jay-Z, I wondered if Aries Spears would ever say something to Jay-Z either about Beyonce, whom is married to Jay-Z and may not have necessarily grown up the same way that he did, especially didn't grow up the way that Jay-Z did, or if he would say anything to Jay-Z in regards to Jay-Z's children, whom, we all presume are black, right? But they also didn't grow up with Jay-Z's background in that environment, the tough grittiness of New York City, Brooklyn, of course. Like, it's one of those things where he's kind of picking and choosing to try to define what black is. And again, I'm just confused. I didn't know that we elected Aries Spears to be the fucking judge of what's black and what's not black, especially being based on how people are raised. First and foremost, it's 2024. Come on, you got to get with the times. You got to realize that as a people, we have advanced some. We have some people, black, who have not grown up at all in the projects, in the hood, in bad situations. Some of them are growing up in single-family homes, in townhomes, having a white fence, sometimes a brown fence, depending what color you paint it, mowing grass. I just, he came off very bitter in that he's trying to define the role of what black is, and he's trying to make excuses for why his career is not as advanced as some other people. So the episode, it was interesting. It was definitely something I would encourage people to check out. It's a conversation piece. It definitely it's a little bit of a water cooler banner if you want to allude to that. But I wanted to connect these two episodes, the episode with Aries Spears and the episode with Lil Rel, because Lil Rel brought that up. He brought up the Aries Spears conversation. He brought up the Aries Spears episode in which, he made a great point. Lil Rel, comedian, actor extraordinaire, has been in a ton of movies thus far. His stand-up comedy has been hilarious. Real quick, want to say congratulations to him. Recently engaged. I'm not even sure if he got married yet. I got to rewatch the episode, but very successful guy. Did it the old school fashion way, grassroots, comedy clubs, things of that sort. Real quick, he also encouraged Jessica Hilarious to, kind of get out there and do comedy. Jessica Hilarious, who is an amazing talent. She's done most of her comedy from behind, social media. Hasn't been a big comedy club person. I do think she has a special coming out here recently, here in a few weeks or about a week or so. I got to check my calendar on that. But real quick, Lil Rel, getting back to that, he touches on the Aries Spears interview, and he he brought up the comments that Aries Spears made about like talking to kids and raising them up in different upbringings and a different situation. And he's basically asking the same question that I asked, like, why are we having this conversation about what defines Black and why certain upbringings define whether you are Black or Black enough? It's very interesting because, you know, as a people, we want all of our people to do better, but then, you know, it's sort of like, okay, when people do better, that means that their kids will typically be brought up in a better upbringing and a better environment. And so are we calling those people's kids not Black now because they didn't grow up in a ghetto or in a harsh environment, so on and so forth? So I thought it made for a great contrast. I thought it made for a great conversation. Lil Rel, who, you know, he will tell you himself, he grew up in Chicago, which is not the safest city, not the safest neighborhoods ever, but he moved to a better place and he got his kids to a place where they're thriving and they're doing great in suburbia. And it's unfortunate. He tells a hilarious story about someone having broken into his home and he thinks he's being targeted because he's Black, which, you know, that, look, we'll save that for another episode because we know that's a thing as well too. But Lil Rel, just getting further into his episode, he also discusses how he's now happy. He's in a place where he's doing things great with his mate. And just huge shout out to him. Huge shout out to him. It's unfortunate. This is a conversation that it pops up every once in a while. It pops up every few years. And it seems to be doing that right now as well, too, in 2024. Not just in the comedy space. Looks like we got a little bit of that going on in hip hop right now, too. Defining what is Black and what is Black music and who's allowed in, who's not allowed in. Most of y'all probably know what it is I'm talking about in that regard. So just interested. I want to know your thoughts. Go ahead and comment below in the video. Let me know. What do you think? Do you think Aries Spears has a point in regards to the fact that, you know, people may not be considered Black based on their upbringing, based on where they come from? Do you think, you know, the fact that, you know, you have to grow up poor in order to be considered Black? Is Black suburban? What is the new definition of Black? What is the new definition of Black? Go ahead and comment below in this video. Let me know your thoughts. I'm gonna follow up on this topic because, as I said, this conversation appears to be a little bit of a growing trend across several different specialties, several different different mediums. So we'll see where it goes as we get into 2024. It's getting hot, y'all. It's getting hot outside. So y'all make sure y'all take it easy, be safe, be careful out there. Before I go, want to say congrats to America. My co-host on the From X to Y podcast and founder of America Fashion. She recently completed a fashion show down in DC. I was fortunate enough to go take a look at some of her pieces. Everything looked amazing. It was a great and beautiful night. Thank you for inviting me out to that. So congrats to her. Also want to give a huge congrats and shout out to Ebby's Events, who hosted, put on an amazing gathering, an amazing party this past weekend. Huge decor, went really big, a lot of balloons, a lot of lights, a lot of backgrounds and backdrops. Music was off the chain. So want to say congrats to both of those people. Huge partners in everything it is that we're trying to do here in the podcast space. And congrats to them. Can't wait to get to the next event. Thank you for watching this episode of Best in the Game podcast. Please be sure to subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, smash that subscribe button. We're almost there, y'all. We're almost at 1,000 subscribers. Let's get us to 1,000 before my birthday. My birthday's coming up here in 3 weeks. Let's get us to 1,000 subscribers before then. Really appreciate y'all for listening. Thank you for coming out. God bless you, and have a good one.